$67.67. Not in a savings account, not in an investment, in your checking account, the whole thing. $67.67 standing between you and a negative balance, and you know this because you checked it 4 times today. Once in the morning, once at lunch, once when you passed an ATM, once at 11 at night lying on your back staring at the ceiling of a room you share with someone you found on Craigslist. You are 24 years old, you have a job, you have a salary. You are not, by any clinical definition, in crisis. And yet every single day is arithmetic. Can I afford to take the train or do I walk? Can I afford the full grocery list? Or do I put the good shampoo back? Can I pay the minimum on the card this month? Or do I call them and ask for an extension? The math never stops. It runs underneath everything the way a machine runs underneath a floor. You can't see it, but you feel it in your feet with every step. This is what zero feels like. Not dramatic. Not the version of broke that exists in movies where someone sits in a darkened apartment surrounded by failure. The real version is smaller than that. The real version is a Tuesday. The real version is standing at a register and watching the total climb and making a fast, quiet decision about which item goes back without making eye contact with the person behind you. Nobody talks about this level. Not honestly. Because the people who lived through it want to forget it, and the people who never lived through it don't have the language for it. But it's where almost everyone starts. And what happens at zero shapes everything that comes after. Because the habits built in scarcity, the fear, the avoidance, the short-term thinking that comes from never being able to think long-term, those habits don't disappear when the number changes. They have to be deliberately unlearned. Most people never unlearn them. They just get more money and make the same psychological mistakes at a larger scale. The first real shift doesn't happen at a number. It happens at a decision. One specific decision where you redirect something. $50, $100, whatever you can actually manage, before you can spend it on anything else. Before the week gets complicated. Before the unexpected expense arrives. Before the justification shows up dressed as a reason. You automate it. You make it invisible. You stop touching it. And you do this not because you have extra money. You do it while you don't have extra money. That's the entire point. Because at zero, the resource that matters most isn't money. It's the habit of making decisions based on where you want to be, rather than where you are. That habit, built small and built early, compounds the same way money compounds. Most people start building it too late. You cross $5,000 in savings for the first time. You are 26. The number feels significant in a way that's hard to explain to someone who has always had more than $5,000. It's not that 5,000 changes your life. It's that 5,000 proves something to you, that you can accumulate something, that the direction of motion can be forward. That was not obvious at $67.67. The proof matters more than the amount. You start reading, not self-improvement, actual books about how capital moves. You learn what compound interest means, not as a definition, but as a mechanism. You open a brokerage account. You stare at it for 6 weeks before you put anything in. When you finally invest $800, the market drops the next day and you lose $40 on paper, and you feel it physically, in your stomach, the way you feel missing a step in the dark. You don't sell. That is the first real financial decision you make that most people don't make. You feel the fear and you hold anyway. That is the beginning of something. By 28, you have $18,000 across a savings account and a Roth IRA you've been contributing to for 2 years. You earn $54,000 a year now. You feel, by some measures, in some moments, okay, stable. You've stopped checking your balance 4 times a day. You check it once a week now, sometimes less. The anxiety isn't gone, but it has reduced from a constant noise to an occasional sound. And then you sit down one night and run the numbers honestly, not the optimistic version, the honest version. You put your income and your savings rate and your expected return into a spreadsheet, and you push the projection out to 65. And the number that comes back is fine. It is enough. It is not, if you are being completely honest with yourself, what you actually want. And that gap between what the math produces and what you actually want, that's the gap where most people live for the rest of their lives. Close enough to comfortable that they stop pushing, not close enough to free that they ever stop worrying. You start something on the side. You don't call it a business. It's a skill you monetize inconsistently, then consistently, then at a rate that surprises you. $800 one month, $1,400 the next. You reinvest everything for a year. You don't upgrade anything. Your net worth crosses 40,000, then 60. Then, the first time a month passes where your side income exceeds your paycheck, and something shifts in how you understand the relationship between time and money. You stop thinking about hours, you start thinking about leverage. At 85,000 in net worth, you are 31. You have a rental property with equity. You have a brokerage account that produced $3,000 last year, without you doing a single thing except not selling. $3,000 generated by the fact that you own things that earn. That is a different category of income. It is structurally different from a paycheck. A paycheck requires your presence. A return on capital does not. You start saying no to things. The destination wedding you can't attend without liquidating something. The group trip where the cost is split evenly and you'd be subsidizing people who don't think about money the way you've learned to think about money. The investment pitch from a friend who hasn't done the reading. No, no, no. The friction shows up in relationships. You feel it. You say no anyway. 150,000. You are 33. You have stopped explaining your financial decisions to people who would need a different context to understand them. Not out of arrogance, out of accuracy. The conversations become imprecise in ways that cost you energy you no longer have to spare. 300,000. Something changes at this number that doesn't have a clean name. The money begins to have preferences. It wants to go certain places. It resists others. You've had an investment return $26,000 in 11 months. You've had one lose 8. You don't panic about the loss. You don't celebrate the gain. You reposition. You've started to understand that wealth at this level isn't about picking the right things. It's about staying in the game long enough that the right things have time to work. At 500,000, you cross what I think of as the first true structural threshold. Below this number, you are still building entirely through effort and discipline and addition. At this number, something new begins. The assets start doing a meaningful portion of the work themselves. Your money earns money at a rate that is no longer symbolic. It is real. It is a second income. Not large enough to live on, large enough to matter. 700,000, 800,000. You are 38. You have restructured the business twice, exited one investment and rolled the proceeds into something larger. Turned down a job that would have paid significantly more salary than you make now, because the calculation on your end was that salary was no longer the point. Your parents don't fully understand this. You don't explain it in a way that would require them to understand it. You tell them it didn't feel right. That is partially true. The first time your brokerage updates and the number reads 7 figures, it is a Wednesday. Not a dramatic Wednesday, just a Wednesday. You check it twice. You close the app, you open it again. You thought you would feel something definitive. Relief, maybe. Arrival. What you feel instead is a quiet kind of stillness, and then, almost immediately, the recognition that $1 million at a 4% return is $40,000 a year. That is not freedom. That is a starting point. The milestone was never the destination. It was proof of concept. Proof that the model works. The work continues. At 2 million, money stops being a source of anxiety. For the first time in your adult life, it is simply a resource. The way time is a resource, the way attention is a resource. You don't think about balances anymore. You think about allocation. Where is the capital positioned? What is its return profile? What correlation structures am I carrying that I haven't examined recently? You fire a wealth manager when you realize you understand your own situation better than he does. You find someone else. She charges more and talks less, and the two things are related. 5 million. The texture of the game changes. You are not building anymore. You are positioning. Capital moves toward opportunity. You are in deals now that layer risk in ways you would not have been able to evaluate 5 years ago. You are in a room, a literal room, a small one, no name badges, with people who operate at your level, and the conversations are different from any financial conversation you've had in your life. Not because they're more sophisticated, because the stakes attached to every word are different. Nothing is hypothetical. 14 million, 30 million. The gap between your decisions and their consequences widens. You sit on a board, a company you're invested in makes an operational decision that affects 160 employees. You review the analysis, you hold. The margin profile improves, the position increases in value. You don't feel good about it. You don't feel bad about it. you feel the distance. The distance is the thing that grows with the numbers in ways nobody prepares you for. At 50 million, you are not managing money anymore. You are managing structures, trusts, foundations, allocation frameworks designed to outlast you. The game no longer requires your full presence. It requires your positioning. Capital moves because you breathe. That sentence sounds like something from a movie. It is something from a life. A real one. Built from a specific sequence of decisions, starting from a real and specific moment when the checking account had $67.67 in it, and you were 24 years old, and you put the good shampoo back on the shelf. At 100 million, the isolation is not loneliness. It is a different problem. The people in your life exist at a remove from your actual reality. The things that absorb your attention, fund structure, dynasty trusts, regulatory positioning, capital cycle timing, simply do not translate to most conversations. You give more than you ever have, not for the access it creates, though you understand it creates access. You give because money has stopped measuring anything meaningful about you. And giving is one of the remaining things that still feels like a real decision. Like something that costs you something. Like something that matters. You are 61. Your net worth is something that only 3 people know precisely. You think in cycles now, not quarters, not years. Demographic cycles, credit cycles, infrastructure cycles. You position ahead of them the way a navigator reads weather 3 days out. You are sometimes wrong. Being wrong at this level means a position underperforms by a margin and you rebalance. It does not mean your life changes. Somewhere in the city right now, someone is 24 and checking a banking app and the number is $67.67. They are doing the fast, quiet math at the register. They are putting something back. They think this is a story about money. They think if they just earn more of it, something resolves. They don't know yet what has to resolve. They don't know what it costs. Not in dollars, in distance. In the gap between who you are at the beginning and who you become by the end. The machine doesn't ask if you're ready. It opens every morning and it takes whoever shows up. And whoever shows up consistently. Without flinching, without stopping to ask the question everyone else is asking. They compound. The money compounds, and everything else compounds with it. The balance is $67.67. It always starts somewhere close to there. It always will.